Permission to proceed.
You may.
Good evening. Could you please introduce yourself to the court?
Good evening. My name is Corey Hyde.
Where do you live, Corey?
Well, I live right here in Midland City, Midland.
And where'd you go to school?
I graduated from Miami University in Ohio. Immediately after graduation, I moved to Las Vegas, did some partying, and then tried to make myself as a gambler, but that didn't really happen. I think I didn't have the guts.
What do you do for a living now?
Well, now I am the executive assistant of Miss Avery Bancroft.
What are the responsibilities of an executive assistant?
Well, as her executive assistant, I am basically responsible for managing her life. I create business schedules, I organize communications, anything that would basically make her life easier. I also help with her business, and I'm pretty thorough with what I do, so she often consults everything with me.
Did you ever meet with anyone in the Midlands Gambling Commission?
Well, in the Midlands Gambling Commission, there was one day I got a call from Mickey Keenan, whom I thought at that time that she was an auditor at the Midlands Gambling Commission. She wanted to discuss about the second proposal that we were preparing, so we agreed to meet, but I was really a fool to go over and meet Miss Keenan.
Why were you a fool to Miss Keenan?
Well, because when we had that meeting, that was when everything, this awful situation all started. Only minutes into our conversations about our new proposal, suddenly her tone completely changed. She smacked down her police badge in front of me and told me that if I cooperate, all of my problems are going to be gone. I felt like I was being
Objection, Your
blackmailed.
Honor, to hearsay.
Counsel?
Your Honor, the witness is testifying about a comment that Mickey Keenan made. Mickey Keenan is the party opponent, and therefore it's an exception to hearsay.
Counsel?
Your Honor, Mickey Keenan is our party representative, but she is not their party opponent.
Yeah,
Therefore-
counsel, I understand Rule 801 allows statements by a party opponent, but I tend to agree with counsel. Is there, do you have a response to that? That the witness, while the party representative, is not necessarily a party opponent?
Well, if that's true, we can rephrase the question.
Well, I'm asking you.
Well, if that's true, that Mickey Keenan is the party representative, but not the party opponent, then we can move past these hearsay statements.
So you'd like to rephrase the question?
Of course.
Okay.
So can you tell the court again what happened when you met with Mickey Keenan?
So only minutes into our conversation, her tone completely changed. She smacked down her police badge in front of me. I felt like I was being blackmailed, and then I felt like I was going to have
Objection,
a
Your
lot
Honor,
of
to lack of
problems.
foundation as to being blackmailed.
Counsel?
Your Honor, the witness is testifying that she felt like she was being blackmailed because she was taken into a room under false pretenses, and the person she was meeting with turned to actually be a police officer. She's testifying this to show subsequent action and why she cooperated.
Counsel?
Your Honor, the lack of foundation as to being blackmailed is because they haven't laid foundation as to how Mickey Keenan put this pressure on her to feel as if she was being blackmailed. They haven't listed any statements that would support that.
Yeah, counsel, I think blackmail is a loaded term, and I think if the witness could lay some foundation about what happened, what was said, if you can get it in, but, the facts that she saw and observed, and then, we'll maybe get to blackmail. But for now, the objection is sustained.
Any testimony that was elicited about that?
It's true.
Yes, Your Honor. Corey Hyde, could you please rephrase to the court what happened during this meeting?
Well, basically during that meeting, as I was saying, only minutes into our conversation about the proposal, her tone completely changed. She put down the police badge in front of me. She was speaking in a very scary tone. I was very intimidated by her, and it seemed like the only option that I had was to cooperate with whatever investigation that she was doing.
Did you cooperate?
Well, it really seemed like I didn't have any other option. So I ended up, yes, cooperating to her investigation.
And what was involved with your cooperation?
Well, when I decided to cooperate, Ms. Keenan informed me that her plan, her investigation, was about trying to catch Ms. Bancroft bribing Chase Covington, who's the chair of the Midlands Gambling Commission.
Objection, Your
knowing-
Honor, to lack of foundation once again.
And the statement was,
Your Honor, about the
Midlands Gambling
bribery,
Commission.
the term use of bribery. Now, they haven't put forth any evidence that would show that she wanted to, in fact, have Miss Avery Bancroft bribe Chase Covington.
and so she testified that there was a bribery, and you're saying there's been a lack of foundation?
Yes,
She knew
Your
about
Honor.
bribery. Counsel?
Well, Your Honor, the witness is testifying about how in this meeting she was made an informant. Now, in order to become an informant, it's reasonably inferable that she had to know that there was something illicit going on.
Right, but I think you have to lay a foundation first as to how she became aware of what information she knows. So the objection is sustained, and you can
The
phrase it in
testimony
a
did.
different way. It's stricken.
Yes, sir.
Sure. All right, Corey Hyde, was there any sort of discussion that Mickey Keenan had with you that expressed the fact that this was a bribery?
Well, when we were having the meetings, Ms. Keenan explained to me her plans about what she's going to do in the future investigations, and that was her trying to catch Ms. Bancroft bribing Chase Covington.
Objection, Your Honor, once again, to lack of foundation. They haven't given us any evidence besides this testimony that there was any use of a bribe, that Mickey Keenan wanted her to help get Avery Bancroft to bribe Chase Covington.
Well, it sounds like, counsel, she said that the foundation was that she heard the officer say it, right?
Then I would like to amend my objection to hearsay, if that's in fact what she said.
So you're objecting to hearsay on what the officer told her?
My reasoning was that I didn't think there was a certain statement that was being said, but if there was, then that is hearsay.
Okay, counsel?
Your Honor, she's not offering a specific statement. She's talking about the general theme of the conversation and about how she became an informant. That's not at odds today. No one is...
But as to the assertion that there was a bribe made by the officer, what's your response to whether that's hearsay or not? Whether or not, how specific or not it was, notwithstanding, what's your response to hearsay on that?
Well, I would say that this is exception to hearsay because it explains the motive and the intent of Mickey Keenan to use Corey Hyde as an informant.
Okay, counsel?
Your Honor, this is not going towards the informant. This is going towards Mickey Keenan wanting her to help set up a bribe between Avery Bancroft and Chase Covington. And therefore, that is not what he's talking about.
Okay. I may have some comments for both of you after the round is over, but for now I'm going to overrule the objection. I'm going to let this in
Yes, sir.
because I think I understand what you're saying as to why it's being offered.
Now, after I expressed to you that you were to be an informant against Miss Avery Bancroft, did you cooperate in any way?
Well, yes, basically my role was to set up meetings between Ms. Bancroft, Mr. Covington, Ms. Keenan, and myself.
Now, did you set up any meetings?
Yes, I did. I set up our first meeting on March 31st.
Did anything significant happen during that meeting?
Well, to me, the first meeting really, it didn't go well. I felt extremely uncomfortable during the meeting. I felt really sorry for my boss too during the meeting. So for me, it was really bad.
Why did you have such a negative experience at this meeting?
Well, the thing is, during the meeting, Ms. Bancroft was basically talking about her plans, her visions of the new casino hotel. But then as I was instructed by Mickey Keenan before during our discussions, I had to cut in and mention that she has to sweeten the pot in order for this deal to work. Mickey Keenan she told me that I at some point would like to suggest this to Ms. Bancroft, so that's exactly what I
Objection,
did.
Your Honor, to hearsay as to the Mickey Keenan statements.
And the Mickey Keenan statements were that you need to sweeten the pot, et cetera?
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes.
These comments are already in evidence. They're under the wire transcript. In fact, I request that I could receive this piece of evidence for referral with the witness.
Couple things. So they're in evidence as the what?
As the wire transcript conversation.
Is that the March 31st, 2015 conversation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so you're saying that this is not hearsay because it's an in-court statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's your response?
Your Honor, that's actually an out-of-court statement being used for the truth of the matter.
Well, this is an in-court statement. It's
But it was,
it's in evidence, it's in court.
yes, Your Honor, but it was
What he's
said,
saying is he's asking a question about an exhibit that's already in.
but she was using a statement from Mickey Keenan out of court. And now it's being used for the truth of the matter.
Well,
So,
counsel, what was the statement briefly?
Yes, Your Honor. I asked about what made Corey Hyde's experience so negative in this meeting. This meeting that we're referring to is the one that's been transcribed onto that wire.
Right, but as the
piece of
statement
evidence.
about sweeten the pot and all that, can you point to me in the document where that is?
I'd be happy to, Your Honor, if I could receive it.
Please.
It's line 35 and 36.
Okay, so, counsel, do you have a response?
yes, Your Honor, it's not this specific line, it's the fact that Mickey Keenan told her to say that, and that's what I'm objecting to.
Yeah, counsel, do you have a response to that?
I can rephrase the question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Any of the testimony was stricken.
It's stricken for now because I've got to hear what your new question's going to be, but
Could you please tell the court what made your experience at this first meeting so negative?
Well, you can see in this transcript, in the beginning, Ms. Bancroft was more talking about like the amenities, like her visions, her experience towards this new casino hotel. But then I had to cut in and say that she needs to sweeten the pot. And the fact that I had to interfere her whatever she was saying positively about her proposal, and the fact that I was in a situation where I was sort of forced into saying that was really, really bad for me.
Objection, Your Honor, the lack of foundation as to her being forced into the situation.
counsel?
Your Honor, we have established that Mickey Keenan is using Corey Hyde as an informant. In fact, that he put down his badge and elicited collaboration.
Sounds like fodder for cross. Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was there anything else significant that happened in that meeting?
Well, yes. In the beginning, Miss Bancroft seemed like she wasn't really understand what I was implying. But then Miss Keenan went further, and these weren't just, hints. She started talking about how it's not enough to have a good business proposal, or how she needs to go extra miles to make this work, or how she doesn't only that it's not enough for her to only pitch ideas, things like that. And then Miss Bancroft really seemed like she was taken aback.
So was there any, how did this meeting end?
Well, towards the end, Miss Bancroft seemed like she finally realized what was going on. And then she started fidgeting, she started to rock back and forth, she started to wring her hands. And I had never seen her so uncomfortable before. It made me even nervous during the meetings.
Thank you, Corey. Did you schedule any other meetings between Mickey Keenan and Miss Avery Bancroft?
Well, yes, I did. After the first meeting, I scheduled another meeting to be held in April, but that wasn't until a few weeks after. During that time, I was busy doing my job and also worrying about our meetings.
Did anything significant happen in this second meeting?
Well, yes, during the second meeting, well, actually before the second meeting, in fact, I was starting to get a cold feet because after what happened in the first meeting, I was really uncomfortable in taking part in Miss Keenan's plan. So I told Miss Keenan that I was starting to have cold feet, but she was really insistent in keeping me on board. Then I felt like if I pulled back, she's going to put the charges against me, so I couldn't really say no to what she was requesting.
Did you schedule the second meeting anyways?
Oh, yes, I had no choice.
And what happened at the second meeting?
Well, the second meeting, gladly, it was kind of better than the first one because, well, Ms. Bancroft was really enthusiastic in explaining her proposal and her vision. She was leaning forward, she was talking about all these great amenities and things that she had in mind. And then it really struck me because she was actually trying to convince Mr. Covington to vote for the quality of her proposal.
Did anything particularly unusual happen during the second meeting?
Well, I guess I was there, so I would know. There were some implications about bribery or money made by Miss Bancroft. But I need to tell you that that wasn't
Your Honor,
before.
the hearsay,
What was the statement?
the implications made by Mickey Keenan about bribery.
So there were some statements made by this witness that Mickey Keenan made an implication about bribery. What's your response?
Yes, Your Honor. The witness, Corey, is not eliciting specific statements, just talking about the general topics of a conversation.
Is she eliciting assertions?
She is commenting about the qualitative aspects of a conversation, her present sense impression of what the speakers were speaking about.
Counsel?
Your Honor, they did say, they did use an assertion as Mickey Keenan was discussing things about bribery, and that is an assertion.
Counsel? One last time.
I believe that the comments that she's referring to are not hearsay in and of themselves. We're not using these statements to say that people did engage in bribery. We're using these statements to say that they occurred, and that she was at a meeting where these statements were made.
And what is the relevance of the statements if you're not offering them for the truth of the matter?
Well, we're not offering them to say that a bribe from this meeting occurred because of these statements. We're saying that at this meeting, topics and innuendos regarding bribery did occur.
The objection is sustained.
Was there anything about the conversation's language that made you feel uncomfortable?
Well, during our second meetings, Ms. Bancroft, I think she tried to hint at topics regarding money, but I need to tell you that that was only after Ms. Keenan started glaring at her and putting pressure on Ms. Bancroft to say those things.
And how did this meeting end?
Well, the meeting ended when one of our bellhops came in and then delivered a room service, and then Mr. Covington went out and everyone just followed.
Did the second meeting seem to have any effect on Miss Bancroft's behavior?
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't think so, not particularly. But I did notice that there was a new briefcase on Miss Bancroft's desk after the second meeting. It looked like the one that Miss Covington had during our second meeting.
Did you schedule any other meetings after the second one?
After the second meeting, yes, I did schedule our third meeting to be held at April 16, but I'm not really sure if I should even call that a meeting.
Why would you say that?
Well, because it was supposed to be between Miss Bancroft, Mr. Covington, myself, and Miss Keenan, but Miss Covington never really showed up.
Well, what occurred at this last meeting?
Well, because Mr. Covington never really showed up, we were just sitting there awkwardly waiting for him to come. But then, after about 30 minutes, Miss Bancroft left the room while Miss Keenan was using the restroom, while she was using the restroom. And then after that, when Miss Keenan came back into the room, she was suddenly furious. She was yelling, she was stomping across the room, her face only got red. She was yelling to me, "Where did Bancroft go?" And then she told me that if you don't find her right now, she's going to put me in a jail.
Objection, Your Honor, to hearsay.
And the statement was that the officer said that she was going to put Ms. Hyde in jail.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes.
This is an excited utterance.
And what is the foundation for that?
Well, as Corey Hyde testified, this was almost at the end of the investigation. They anticipated that a bribe was about to commence. And however, at this meeting, the final two protagonists didn't show up. He was in a raid. Mickey Keenan was completely physically distressed at the opportunity of having lost out at the last minute of a 2.5-year-long investigation. She was yelling, yelling and yelling at Corey Hyde.
And before I go back to opposing counsel, did all of that come out on the record? I may have been writing down some comments when some of those things came out, but is all that of record?
And she spoke that she went into the room, that she was yelling, that she had lost her composure.
Okay, counsel?
Your Honor, they stated that she was yelling, and to her she looked mad. Now, this meeting, because of Covington not showing up, is not a startling event, and therefore it's not exciting utterance.
I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole. Is there any case law on this? If there's not, it's fine.
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'm going to sustain the objection. If you want to try and get this in a different way, feel free, but it's sustained for now.
It's stricken from the record.
It's stricken.
What happened after this last meeting?
Well, after the last meeting, well, I was waiting in the, well, after Mr. Covington didn't show up, I was waiting in the room for about an hour, and then the more that I thought about it, the more that I realized that me taking part in Miss Keenan's scheme was just wrong. So I raked in all of my courage and just left the casino.
Thank you, Corey. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Will Rogers with the prosecution, may I inquire?
You may.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hyde.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to make this short. Now, you are Avery Bancroft's executive assistant.
Yes, that is right. That is my job.
You're actually currently still employed by Ms. Bancroft.
I believe I am, yes.
So Ms. Bancroft pays your wages.
Well, she pays my wages because I do my job. I organize communications. I basically assist in making her business more easier.
And you are testifying on behalf of the defense.
I am testifying here because what I felt during taking part in Miss Keenan's horrible scheme against making Miss Bancroft doing things that she otherwise wouldn't felt really wrong for me, and I wanted to make that straight. So that's why I'm here.
That's very nice, Ms. Hyde, but to answer my question, you are testifying on behalf of the defense.
Oh yes, that's why I'm on the defense today.
So part of your duties as Avery Bancroft's executive assistant, you do things like help her with proposals.
Yes, that's what I did earlier this year.
You actually helped set up the proposal that she submitted to the Gambling Commission.
Yes, I assisted her in doing that.
You also do things like set up meetings, right?
Yeah, that was my role when I was involved in Miss Keenan's scheme.
Now, specifically on April 13th, you actually set up a meeting, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And this meeting was between you, Mickey Keenan, Avery Bancroft, and Chase Covington, right?
Yes, all four of us were there.
Now, in this meeting, you actually left the room for quite a bit of time, right?
Oh, it was after Miss Keenan started glaring at Miss Bancroft to talk about bribery, and as I told you, I was too uncomfortable to stay in the room, so I had to excuse myself to use the restroom.
Ms. Hyde, you went and used the restroom, and at that time it left just Mickey Keenan, Avery Bancroft, and Chase Covington.
Yeah, I felt really bad about that too, because I didn't want to leave Miss Bancroft alone with Miss Keenan in the room, but I was feeling too bad and I couldn't help it. I had to leave.
And Ms. Hyde, during this meeting, you actually heard Chase Covington say that he would need a good reason to vote for Avery Bancroft's proposal.
Oh yes, which was completely logical since, Miss Covington needs good reasons to vote for the proposal.
And Avery Bancroft responded by saying, how about 100,000 reasons?
Yeah, you see, that was after Miss Keenan started to talk about how this deal is not going to happen unless you make Covington happy. So when I heard that, I couldn't erase the feeling that she was being manipulated by Miss Keenan. I felt really bad about that too.
Ms. Hyde, I want to move on to the date of April 16th. That's 3 days late. And
Yes, yes.
on that day, you saw Miss Bancroft, right?
Oh yes, it was on the day of our third meeting, and I was with Miss Bancroft.
And before that meeting, you actually saw your boss, Avery Bancroft, stuffing what looked like to you $200,000 into a briefcase.
Yes, she was doing that in our office inside in the briefcase. She looked really nervous. I wasn't sure if she really wanted to get through with the bribe, but at that point, it seemed like it was too late for me to intervene.
Miss Hyde, to be clear, you never heard Mickey Keenan tell her to put that money in the briefcase.
Well, I don't think I had to hear Mickey Keenan directly telling her to put the money in the bag. You see, Miss Keenan can be really magical with her implications and scary ways of talking. I don't believe that she had to say that. It was all there in her statements.
But Miss Hyde, to be clear, you didn't hear Mickey Keenan tell Avery Bancroft to put that money in the briefcase.
Oh no, I only heard Mickey Keenan trying to make Miss Bancroft commit bribery.
Miss Hyde, that day, you never saw Chase Covington, right?
Yes, on the third meeting, I never saw Chase Covington. Miss Keenan looked really nervous. I was nervous. That day was terrible.
And on that day, you never heard Mickey Keenan tell Avery Bancroft to give Chase Covington money.
Oh no, Miss Keenan didn't tell Miss Bancroft because she left before she had the chance to tell her. She left, and then after that she was furious at me. She was telling me to find out where Miss Bancroft is, and if I don't do that, I'm going to go to jail.
But to be clear, you never heard Mickey Keenan tell Avery Bancroft to give Chase Covington money.
Well, directly, if you say so, I guess I did it.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
No, I think she was finishing her answer. You can try and control the witness, but that was her answer.
Miss Hyde, you never heard Avery Bancroft, to be clear, tell Chase Covington to give them money.
Well, not directly, I guess.
Thank you, Miss Hyde. I have no further questions at this time.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. I just asked that my witness be able to step down.
This is excused, thank you.